Hey guys, Hammy Vertible here. Hey, we're going to go over an engine harness installation this week. Last week we were talking about how the alternator wasn't charging properly, and we're having issues with it overcharging. But I think put a brand new voltage regulator on it because it wasn't charging at all. And even with the brand new regulator on it, at least it started charging, but then it was putting out like 15.47 volts or something of that sort right around there, which is not good for the system. And looking at some other YouTubers, I come to find out that for the most part that it could be getting bad information to the alternator or to the to the voltage regulator. Voltage regulator is getting a lower voltage going through all the bad wires and bad grounds and dirty oxidized and broken wires and all that good stuff. Makes it actually put out too much amperage, and the alternator is just going to do what it's going to do, being told by the voltage regulator. So that's kind of led us to just changing the whole harness. The whole thing was in bad shape, and sometimes it's best. Yeah, I found out with like this car and my other Challenger, changing lighting harnesses, engine harnesses, changing those harnesses really makes a difference in reliability and electrical gremlins and stuff like that, and burning fuses and so on. If you just swap the whole wire out, that helps tremendously. I got the wire set from Bill Evans at Evans Wiring. If you need some wires, give Bill a call. He makes a really good set. I put light sets, forward lights, forward engine harnesses, rear lights on both of my Challengers from Bill, and his kits are second to none. It's pretty much what I've found. So the other thing I want to tell you, we got her on the ground. I laid her down, set her down. I'm trying to get the ride height set. I got the bracket welded on. We have the shocks, new shocks are on it. I'd show you the weld, but it's really ugly and everybody would make fun of me and laugh at me, so I'm not going to show you. And I give it 3 drives and a couple bumps before it cracks and falls apart, but at least I got it halfway there, and I can get somebody else to weld it if it doesn't work out. So let's get started with this wiring harness, forward engine harness, wiring harness. That's where we're going from there. Now, what I generally do is I'll get the wiring diagram and go ahead and take a look at the wiring diagram to see what all I'm controlling with the harness that I'm changing. So here, this is the forward engine harness where it goes into the firewall. It's got all these different plugs. It's got 2, 4, 6, 8 connectors in there, and each one of the connectors go to different thing. So I highlighted everything on here so that we could see where we're going. And when you start out off of the harness, I think the first thing it hits is the oil temperature or oil pressure gauge, and then it goes to the it runs over here and it ties into the the alternator regulator. Then it ties into the ballast resistor, and then it goes from there. And this doesn't show it like it's in line, it just kind of shows where everything goes, but at least these are part of the forward engine harness. You got your temperature gauge, the ignition coil is on that front harness, your horns, your horn relay, the windshield washer motor where you just squirting fluid onto your windshield is plugged into that as well, which mine is missing in action, so we won't be wiring that today, but I need to buy one. It's a little small issue. One of the funny things about this whole thing is this engine harness also carries the power inside the car from the what is this? Is the it's like an ignition switch or something, but the right here, yeah, this ignition switch carries the power from the battery right in through. It comes up here through a fusible link right in through J. And I was wondering, I had a big white wire sticking out of my firewall, and this J was cut off. So I guess somebody's already tried to, there's a lot of guys online tell you not to run your amp meter through the, plug in the wall. That's caused a lot of fires over the years with cars. So a lot of people bypass those now. And that's exactly what this guy did. He bypassed it. And so we got this big, massive blue wire sticking out with a, round prong on it there so that you could connect it to the starter relay. But we're not going to do that. We're going to leave it hanging for now because we already have power into that amp meter. And it looks like he just cut the wire that came out of here to that, and he put another wire on it and ran inside. But so these are all the things that we're going to wire up, and we'll look at each one of them as we go across. So there's really not a whole lot of things that get wired up in there, but it's always good to know what you're connecting to, because sometimes you look at those wires, you're like, where the heck does that one go to? And I've already done that twice. The oil pressure switch was one that I was trying to figure out what the heck that wire was for, and just looking under the hood was how I found that. But so let's go ahead and move up to the front of the car. Maybe we'll take this with us, and we'll take a peek at how all this wiring goes on here. All right. Hey, look, my birthday was the other day, and got me a new carpet for the car from the wife. How sweet is that? So anyway, we're up here at the front and taking a look at this thing. The bulkhead connector is right there, and that's where we've disconnected the first wire. This the main connector I pulled off right there, and you can see inside there that there's basically 8 wires or 8 connectors in there, and 8 connectors inside of this. You just slide right in there, and then we have our new one right here that we're going to put back in there. And here's that big blue wire from Jay that's supposed to go down to the right there to the starter. I guess it's like the starter solenoid. And you see they got this big white wire here connected to the old black wire that goes right to the starter solenoid, and that's what's going through the amp meter now at this point, which is fine for now. At least it's not going through the bulkhead connector where everybody says it burns it up. So we've already taken popped a bracket loose there, popped a little wire holder back there, and there's another one over there. So this wire comes out of the bulkhead, runs across, it hits down there. You got the oil pressure switch on the back of the block, and you have your voltage regulator, you have your ballast resistor, and then those actually tap right off the line, and then the line runs up over across the front of the motor. Comes up over here. You see the new wire I got laying there. There's a new wire here coming up through there, and this is the old wire. It's up against the wall. There's another connector back here. I'll pull that one out, but man, this stuff is old and crappity. I saw this one here too, which was interesting. This daggone wire, I'm like, what the heck is that? I follow that, it goes all the way back to the firewall, goes inside, and I'm looking on the wire diagram, and it's the tack wire. So that's part of the tick-tock tack. It just connects right here to the negative side of the coil, where the dual point distributor ties into the coil. And this is pretty cool, because a dual point distributor, in order to set it up, you got to set it up with a dwell. You don't really gap it. So you unconnect this one and start the car, and you check the dwell. I want to say that the first one should be like 26 or 28 degrees of dwell. I don't remember off the top of my head. I'd have to go back and look in the book. And then once you set that up, you change your gap or whatever you need to do to set the dwell, increase or decrease the gap to increase or decrease the dwell. And then you stick this wire on there, you put this back together, and then that's the second set of points. And you set them up so that your dwell goes up to like 32. So you're throwing spark in there from like 28 degrees to 32 degrees. And that's how the dual point distributors give you more firepower in each of your cylinders. Now this is an Excel unit. The Charger RT 440 cars came, I think the Hemis did too, came with a dual point distributor, which is really unusual. Most of the time you got a single point distributor in 99% of your old cars. Not a whole lot of dual points out there, at least for Mopars. I'm not sure what Chevy and Ford did, but we'll leave that up to those guys. So, but anyway, like I said, over there, we're just plugging into the main bulkhead connector. And then over here, you see, like I said, you got all these wires. They kind of like come out of the loom. So this first one that comes out of the loom, that's for the oil pressure regulator, or oil pressure sending unit, which I showed it before, is right down there. So it sticks right on top of that sucker. And that's gonna be a tough one to get to, but I think I can reach it. Now it's got a connector on there. It's kind of a little funny, but it slides right on top of that. And that thing was working great, so if we have any problems, you'll know it was something I did trying to change the wires. See if we can get it on there. Oh, she's gonna fight me. A little feisty. All right, well, I'm not going to bore you guys with this. Doesn't seem to want to go on there. I'll get that on there later. But the next thing you end up with after it comes out of there, you have all these wires. And of course, that one's easy to figure out. It's going right in there. And you have this side over here, it's got the double wire in it. So we'll pull that over there. And we'll get the connector with the double wire on that one. Of course, this thing is loose on the wall here. I'm trying to get everything prepped. Get that one on there. Get that one out of there. Get that one out of there. Take this old wire out and get our new one in. Well, that's going to be a total fail. I thought I was going to be able to get all this stuff on here while you guys were watching, but I'm thinking it ain't going to happen. So we'll just go on to the next one. So you see we got the double plug on that. You got a double plug on this. She will pop right on there. And take the other side, and she'll pop right onto there. So we're still moving through with our old wire here. Let's take her off of there. Come on in there, baby. Uh-oh, we're behind the, check that out. Talk about a rust box. There you go, that connector, which is the bulkhead ground, could stand to be cleaned up, but we'll take care of that later. We'll just right up front here, and You know, this baby up here, we got obviously the positive side of the ground, which is here. Positive side of the coil. I'm sorry, positive side of the ground. Positive side of the coil comes off. We have this, which was the worst abuser here, was the field wire. Man, that thing was like about as sloppy and crappy and falling apart as you could possibly get. I think if I wiggle it about 3 more times, it's going to fall off of there. And we come down around here, and we're up here. Everything's on this horn relay. And something I noticed earlier when I was prepping everything was this horn relay is different than what I have. So I'm probably going to reuse this until I get another horn relay. But this one had basically 3 separate wires on it. And the one wire on the bottom goes from the horn relay to the 2 horns. You got a wire here. Take that off of there. It's probably hard to watch, but bear with me. All right, so that comes out of there. But this basically, this wire goes to the 2 horns. And on the new one, we got 2 wires, but these 2 go there, but it's really 3 because of the connector looks a little bit different. We got 2 connectors, where on this thing they're all pointed flat, so I'm not going to get that kind of connector on it. So it's a different horn relay. I don't know if that's not original or aftermarket or something, but what I'll do is I'm going to leave this one on here and kind of set the other ones up so that they're on there about the same spot, because this one will go up on the top here just like the other one did. We'll roll her over. She'll go up on top, and then I'll have the connector for the other one. Probably be good if I put a little bit of lubrication on these things. They don't want to seem to go to well too tight, but we'll get that a little later. So get that goes there. And then we have also this this wire up here. There's a temperature sender right down there in the front of the motor. The water temperature sender. So we got a water temperature sender. We got the alternator field. You also have on the back of the alternator, you have the power wire on the back of the alternator. I'll try to get that out of there. None of them's coming out. The power wire on the back of the alternator, that right here. So that's part of the whole front. We just take all this out of here, just pull her all backwards. How about that? Back and out of the way. And then we have our new wires. Got the that's the temperature sensor. I'll take that under there. Here's our bring that on. Let's go. What do you think? We'll take that over top. We'll go over top of those onto the alternator. And we got these coming up front. That one. So this one here is for the windshield washer motor on the tank, the windshield washer tank. It's kind of funny because the old one had it on there, but somebody had just cut it off right where it popped out of the harness. Right there it is, I think. Yeah, it's coming out of the harness right there. And they just cut that sucker right off. Let's keep peeling this baby back. You know, I think if I probably bring it this way, it'd be easier to get it out of there. Just keep coming this way with it. Pull it out. That one out. We gotta come underneath of that negative wire. Bring that one down. That one out of there. Everybody wants to grab a hold of something. This. Pull that one out. And there, look at that. She's free. Oh my Lord. What a mess. That thing is pretty bad. This is where I was telling you that that cable right there is probably the worst. So, that thing out of there. Man, what a mess. So we get back on this side. Let's see if we can even get the daggone bulkhead connector in while we're on camera. Now, like I said, this one on the other one, which if you look at it was J, was just cut off. This looks it's pretty cool that they just cut that sucker right off of there. I looked at that before I pulled it off and I'm like, what the heck was there? That's the power. That's power from the battery. And starter solenoid up here, right through to the amp meter. So we're up over top of that over there. We'll come in under here. And I remember that, you know, that one was there, so I'm gonna come in here like that. We're gonna just wiggle her in place and send it home. And she goes. Now, one thing that I did do is to get them out. I basically took a screwdriver and put it underneath of the edge here and just pry it out like that. And it pulled out from both sides. So hey, maybe you can use that to help push back in nice and tight. All right, so we've got this gaping wire here that goes to nothing. And then we're coming across, and both of these wires can go into this little holder right there. Just bend that right back. Get them in there. And then they go right over. Next one, oops, we dropped you. Over to the next one here. If I was about a foot taller, my arms would be long enough.